he was supposed to crack. The breeding men had studied the page and delivered their verdict long before the starting gate ever opened, pointing to the sire Bold Ruler and the speed that ran hot and combustible through that bloodline. Speed that could scorch a mile and then drain away to nothing. His sons broke fast and died late. That was the truth the stud books had taught them. Then, on a June afternoon at Belmont Park in 1973, a chestnut colt covered 1.5 miles in 2 minutes and 24 seconds flat, a time no horse has matched in over 50 years. Was that performance the work of one impossible animal, or was there something hidden inside him that no pedigree page could ever have predicted? Before we dive in, hit subscribe and drop a comment letting us know where you are watching from. The answer does not live on a breeding chart. It lives on an autopsy table in Kentucky, where a veterinary pathologist opened a chest cavity in the autumn of 1989, 16 years after the running that made this horse a myth, and found something that stopped him in his work. But before that table, before the record, before the name became permanent, there was a coin flip in a quiet office at the Jockey Club that decided which foal went to which owner. The wrong side of that coin would have erased every second of what followed. At Claiborne Farm in Paris, Kentucky, a stallion named Bold Ruler stood at stud under the care of Arthur Bull Hancock. Bold Ruler had won the 1957 Preakness and a championship, and his blood was the most commercially valuable in American racing. But his reputation carried a warning. His offspring were sprinters. They could blister 6 furlongs and light up a mile, but classic distance broke them. 12 furlongs was where Bold Ruler's sons came apart. Every year, the Phipps family in Meadow Stable sent 2 mares each to Bold Ruler, and the resulting foals were divided by a coin flip. In 1969, the mares were Something Royal, owned by Christopher Chenery of Meadow Stable, and Hasty Matilda, owned by Ogden Phipps. Something Royal was by Prince Quillo, a sire whose name meant one thing to the men who studied bloodlines: stamina, heart, the ability to carry speed over a distance that destroyed most horses. On paper, the cross made sense. Bold Ruler's explosive acceleration mated to Prince Quillo's bottomless engine through the dam. But the breeding men did not trust the dam side to overrule the sire. Bold Ruler's pattern was too strong. His get burned out. That was the line, and the line held. The foals were born in the spring of 1970. Phipps won the coin toss. He chose the Hasty Matilda foal, a filly called the Bride, who never amounted to anything on the racetrack. Chenery received the Something Royal colt, a big chestnut with 3 white stockings and a crooked white star running down his face. His name was Secretariat. The entire story turned on the edge of a spinning coin, and the man who had first choice picked wrong. Christopher Chenery was dying. His daughter, Penny Chenery, a housewife from Denver with 4 children and no professional experience in thoroughbred racing, stepped in to manage Meadow Stable in Doswell, Virginia. The establishment did not take her seriously. She was a woman making decisions about bloodstock worth millions of dollars in a world governed almost entirely by men in gray suits. She hired Lucien Laurent, a French-Canadian trainer in his late 50s, who had never handled a horse of this caliber. And before Secretariat had won a single leg of the Triple Crown, she syndicated him for $6,080,000, 32 shares at $190,000 each, a world record. She did it because the estate taxes on her father's holdings were strangling the farm. She needed the money before the races, not after. Every start that Colt made from that point forward carried the weight of the largest syndication deal in thoroughbred history on top of whatever the jockey put on his back. Did anyone in the rival barn understand what they were training against? One man thought he did, and he had spent the winter planning for exactly the moment when Bold Ruler's blood would betray the favorite. Frank Martin, known as Pancho, trained a colt named Sham for the owner Sigmund's summer. Sham was not a supporting character in someone else's story. He was a genuinely brilliant racehorse, fast and tough and full of fight, and in almost any other year, he would have been the champion. Martin believed Sham was the horse who would prove the breeding men right about Bold Ruler. His plan was simple: let Secretariat run. Let him show that front-running speed. And when the distance stretched past a mile and into the territory where Bold Ruler's sons came apart, Sham would be waiting. Then came the Wood Memorial, Secretariat's final prep race before the Kentucky Derby, and the doubt deepened into certainty. Secretariat finished third, beaten by Sham and a long shot named Angle Light. He was flat, sluggish, nothing like the horse who had been named two-year-old champion just months earlier. The press turned hard. The headlines wrote themselves. Bold Ruler's son had cracked. What nobody outside Lucien Lauren's barn knew was that Secretariat had been running with a massive abscess inside his upper lip, an infection so painful he could not take the bit properly. He ran the Wood Memorial with a broken instrument panel. Lauren knew. Ron Turcotte, the jockey, knew. They told no one. The doubt was not an obstacle to their plan. The doubt was cover. May 5, 1973. Churchill Downs. 134,000 people packed the grandstand and the infield under a warm Kentucky sky. 13 horses loaded into the gate for the 99th running of the Kentucky Derby. Secretariat broke from the number 10 post and settled near the back of the field. Sham was well placed in the middle of the pack. Through the first quarter, Secretariat was running last. Through the half mile, he was 12th of 13. Turcotte sat still. He did not panic. He did not pull. He let the horse find his own rhythm in the chaos of a full field. Then, on the far turn, Secretariat began to move. He swept 5 wide around the bend, losing ground on every stride but gaining on every horse in front of him. He passed them in pairs. At the top of the stretch, he reached the lead. Sham came to him. For a 16th of a mile, the two colts ran as one, stride for stride, and the roar from the grandstand hit like a wall of sound. Then Secretariat pulled clear. He won by 2.5 lengths. The time was 1 minute 59 and 2/5 seconds. A new track record. He had run each quarter mile faster than the one before it. No horse in the history of the Kentucky Derby had ever done that. He did not tire. He did not fade. He accelerated. What happens to a colt who runs each successive quarter faster than the last, not at a sprint distance, but at 1.25 miles? The breeding men had no model for it. Sham's camp had no answer for it. And the distances were only getting longer. 2 weeks later at Pimlico, Secretariat and Sham broke together and dueled through fractions that would have killed most horses. They ran the first half mile head and head at a pace that belonged in a 6-furlong sprint, not a 10-furlong classic. Sham threw everything he had at Secretariat through the turn and into the backstretch, and Secretariat absorbed every surge without changing his breathing. At the top of the stretch, Turcotte glanced left. Sham was falling back. Turcotte hand rode Secretariat to the wire. The official time was muddled by a malfunctioning Pimlico clock, but the daily racing form clocker recorded 1 minute 53 and 2/5 seconds, which would have shattered the stakes record. 2 legs down, 1 to go, and the last one was 1.5 miles, the distance where Bold Ruler's blood was supposed to fail. Pancho Martin knew. After the Preakness, He knew Sham could not beat Secretariat in a fair fight at any distance, but the Belmont was 1.5 miles. The revised plan was desperate. Send Sham to the lead, force suicidal fractions, and hope the distance killed them both, or at least the one carrying bold ruler's name. June 9, 1973. Belmont Park. 70,000 people, the largest crowd in New York racing history, pressed against the rail. Only 4 horses dared to enter against Secretariat. The gate opened. Sham broke hard to the front. Secretariat went with him. They ran the first quarter in 23 4/5 seconds, a fraction that belongs in a 5-furlong dash, not at the start of a 1.5 mile race. The half in 46 1/5. The crowd murmured. These fractions could not be sustained. This was what Martin wanted. This was the trap. But Secretariat was not laboring. His ears were pricked. His stride was long and low and effortless, and Turcotte could feel the engine underneath him building, not fading. At the 3/4 pole, Turcotte looked over. Sham was done. The brilliant rival's stride was shortening. His head was rising. His body was telling the truth that his heart refused to accept. He would finish last. He would never race again. Secretariat was alone on the lead, and instead of slowing, he accelerated. 2 lengths clear, then 5, then 10. Sheik Anderson called the race with a voice cracking toward disbelief. 15 lengths, 20, 25. Turcotte never hit him, never asked. The horse was running on terms that belonged to no other animal in the history of the sport. He crossed the wire 31 lengths in front of the nearest horse. The time was 2 minutes and 24 seconds flat. A new world record. If Ogden Phipps had called the coin differently in that quiet office at the Jockey Club, this moment does not exist. Penny Chenery does not campaign a Triple Crown winner. The $6 million syndication collapses. The Belmont record is never set. The whole of it turned on the edge of a spinning coin, and the judgment of a woman the establishment told to go home. Secretariat died on October 4, 1989, of laminitis at Claiborne Farm. He was 19 years old. Dr. Thomas Swerchek performed the necropsy at the University of Kentucky. When he opened the chest cavity, he stopped. A normal thoroughbred heart weighs approximately 8.5 pounds. Secretariat's heart was estimated at 22 pounds, nearly 2.5 times the size of any horse Swerchek had ever examined. It was perfect. No disease, no scarring, no defect, just enormous. An engine built on a scale the sport had never seen and has never seen since. That was the answer the breeding page could not give. The sire said speed. The dam said stamina. But the organ that fused them together, the thing that let a bold ruler colt sustain sprinters' fractions over 1.5 miles without breaking, was invisible to every expert who studied the pedigree. 2 minutes and 24 seconds flat has not been touched. The Belmont Stakes has been run more than 50 times since 1973. Horses have been bred faster, trained with more advanced science, run on surfaces engineered for speed. None have come close. The record stands because it was not the product of a fast horse on a good day. It was the product of an anatomical outlier whose cardiovascular system operated on a scale that does not repeat. And the bloodline carried the secret forward. The large heart gene, traced through the X chromosome, passed through Secretariat's daughters. His sons were modest runners, but his daughters produced champions, and their champions carried hearts that echoed the organ on that autopsy table, an invisible inheritance that no auction ring and no breeding chart could measure or predict. Greatness, in the end, is not read on a pedigree page or in the verdict of a breeding shed. It is measured in what pours out of an animal when the distance is supposed to break him and the clock is supposed to stop. It is measured in the organ no one sees until the story is over. a chestnut colt with bold ruler's blood and a heart no one could weigh. The experts said he would burn out. He answered with a record no horse has touched in over 50 years. Another story from Hoofbeat Legacy. What do you think made Secretariat different? The heart, the bloodline, or something science still cannot explain? Share your thoughts below. Thanks for watching.